All right. Welcome everyone to the second episode of We Are McGill Social Work. My name is Alice Ishimwe. I am a U3 student in MSW here at McGill University. And tonight we are chatting with MSW team. I have here with me folks who are here to inspire the students to apply for the MSW team here at McGill, and to talk a little bit about the program, to kind of clarify a little bit on the process of what you should be expecting if you consider to do your master's here at McGill. I'm gonna start and then everyone will introduce themselves and then we'll cover some questions. And yeah, I have Carmela right next to me. So if you wanna go ahead and introduce yourself.
So my name is Carmela and I'm the Administrative Student Affairs Coordinator for the Master's of Social Work program. So any admin related questions, I'm the one.
Okay, thanks Carmela. And next we have Nicole M.
Hi, so I'm Nicole Mitchell. I'm the MSW Field Coordinator.
Thank you. Last but not least, Nicole I.
Hi, I'm Nicole Ives, and I'm the director of the MSW program. I've been at McGill since 2006.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to start with Carmela to tell us a little bit about the process of getting into the MSW here at McGill. We were quite curious about, you know, the education requirements, the deadlines. What is it that we need to be aware of before we start applying for the program?
Everything is very well noted on our website. So I invite anybody who's interested to the MSW program to visit the website. It tells you the requirements, it tells you your CGPA needed, prerequisite courses that are needed for the program. It tells you optional prerequisite courses that you can take as well. So that's a great feature that we have. Very important to know, in order to apply for the Masters of Social Work, you do need a Bachelor of Social Work, and that is a requirement. A lot of students say, I have a Bachelor of Psychology or a Bachelor of Sociology, and I have a lot of experience. Unfortunately, one of the major requirements is the Bachelor of Social Work. So your only other option is to take the Bachelor of Social Work, and we do take into account transfer credits up to 18 credits from your bachelor degree, in case you do that route. So there's the prerequisite courses that are necessary as well to take: your statistics and human development, and it has to be a university level course, 3-credit course. You can take it once you apply. You have to show proof that you are registered in the program. And if admitted into the program fall of the following year, it has to be completed by summer of that year. So there's always that option. I can go on, but
I think folks are pretty curious about the statistics course, whether they can take it in CEGEP or bring it from any other university. Is that something that is okay?
So I will answer, but Nicole, please, Nicole Ives, please, Dr. Ives, please intervene. It does have to be a university level course. And all the information about what the statistics course requirements are is on the website. So I do ask students, if they have questions, if they're not sure, it is up to the applicant to look at the website and to ensure that the course that they're taking does meet the requirements.
Carmela, are there any comments about the class size of the MSW cohorts in the past? How many students do you admit? Level of GPA that is required?
So the CGPA is on the website. It's, I believe, 3.2 and above. We get over 150 applications. We admit approximately, and again, Dr. Ives, correct me if I'm incorrect, between 50 to 60 applicants.
Okay, sounds good. And in terms of part-time, full-time, Do you see a lot of part-time, full-time students? Are they mostly all full-time? I know it's a personal choice, but what have you seen happen?
It's a little bit of both. Sometimes students do come in full-time and then end up going part-time for whatever reason. So it really does depend.
Okay, sounds good. So someone can choose to do it either way. It's up to them and what they have. Because I think people are wondering if they can work. So if you're doing part-time and you prefer to work, you can be able to continue your classes.
Correct. And that's always great to, if accepted into the program, you could always consult with your advisor and they can definitely guide you as to what is best for the student.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Any other comments, Nicole?
I did want to add that for part-time students, if they go part-time, they have 5 years to finish the degree. For full-time students, you have 3 years, up to 3 years to finish the degree. So it does give you some flexibility.
Okay. Oh, that's good to hear.
And I will add as well, if you decide to start your program part-time, you do have 5 years. But as soon as you register for 12 credits or more, you become full-time and you need to finish it within a 3-year period.
Oh, that's a very important.
You have to be careful if you do switch back and forth.
Okay, depending on the number of credits you take, you could be qualified for time. Okay, great. That's good to know. Thank you. Now let's say I'm admitted, I'm excited, and just got my offer. Now I'm here. In terms of what we expect in the course of my degree, we're wondering if we can clarify a little bit of what is a thesis, ISP, what does that look like really to work with a supervisor in your MSW, and then later on we'll go into the field when they call M. But we just wanted to know in the first maybe semester when we were trying to navigate the MSW, what are the difference we're even expecting to see as different from BSW. So Nicole, if you can comment on that would be nice.
Well, we have 2 options for the Master of Social Work degree. There is the thesis option. They're both 45 credit degrees, but the thesis option requires a 27 credit thesis, and there is no field work. There is no field placement. The non-thesis option, or the practice and field option, is also 45 credits, but it does not have any type of thesis, obviously, because students are in their field placements twice a week or 2.5 days, as the case may be. And they instead do something called an independent study project, or ISP. The ISP is worth 9 credits, and it is due on August 15th if students start in fall of the previous year. So our program is actually, if you're going full time, it is practically a full calendar year, because you go full time in the fall, you go full time in the winter, and then you have the summer months to complete your independent study project if you're going full time and want to graduate in November of that year.
Okay. And then say I'm doing a thesis MSW, that means I'm working with a supervisor. So
yes,
I'll be meeting with them the same way I do in stage and debriefing on what I'm working on. What does that relationship look like? And how do I pick one? I think someone was asking too, how do I pick one? And how do I know what I work on in September when I get admitted into the program?
It's a good question. So in the application process, typically the applicant will have made contact with one of our faculty members to see if they're interested in supervising a thesis. because it is considerably more involved than if it's a supervisory relationship with a student supervising an ISP. It's very similar, I would say, to a PhD relationship, even though it's a shorter time frame, because it's really the student and the supervisor create a schedule with regard to how often they meet. The thesis, it's expected that students do original research. So it really is important to be working with the supervisor from the very beginning in order to be able to submit within the specified time frame.
Okay.
But,
So
but with the sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask, the relationship starts at the beginning of the year in the fall, and it ends when you finish your course.
Well, it ends when the student has successfully defended their thesis. So that's also a similarity in that the thesis is sent out for review. So they don't have an oral examination like the PhD, but they do have an external reviewer, unlike the ISP, where it is the supervisor who evaluates the ISP.
Okay, I think that makes it very clear, very clear to imagine the path to finishing and having the defense or someone who's going to evaluate your work. It's important to know. And so does that require research experience? Do students required to have research experience before they go in? I know we have some courses and we have like a research method course, and we will need to take another one in the MSW. But how prepared should I be for the research component of the MSW when I'm going in?
If you want to go into the thesis option,
Yes.
You should be very familiar with research. The expectation is that the in your application, the proposal that you write is a very solid research proposal. And typically what we've seen for thesis students is that they have worked before as research assistants in various ways. So they have a greater familiarity with research than only taking the BSW research methods course.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. Yes. And this is where the statistics course would come in as well to help with putting the results of your research together.
Well, if the thesis is a quantitative study, then certainly, but we're looking at statistics, and there's an excellent resource called Statistics for Social Workers, and it's one that I used during my PhD program. It really is to support MSW students in being able to understand and critically analyze research studies that they use, whether it's for their thesis, for their independent study project, for their papers in other classes. We are in the process of looking at the statistics prerequisite. I can't say more about that yet, but we are aware of some of the challenges that students have in trying to meet that prerequisite.
Great. We'll be excited to hear the new updates maybe soon. Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ives. And now if we jump in a little bit on field placement for the MSW students, how is it different from what we're doing in BSW? What should we expect to hone on as we're getting further in our social work education? What kind of availability of placements that are specifically maybe more appropriate for MSW than BSW students, if Nicole can.
Yeah. So for students who choose the non-thesis often they would be in their placements 2.5 days a week if they're concurrent, and 4 to 5 days a week if they're doing a block. And concurrent basically means that you're doing it alongside your classes, and a block would mean that you're doing it over a 14, 13, actually 13 to 16 week period. So at the graduate level, the focus is more on advanced practice. So students should be building on their already existing skill base, developing a stronger theoretical, critically reflective approach. We want to really have our students hone in on different areas of practice, clinical practice, community intervention, policy, research. So also in the way that students, I mean, in a master's level placement, are like the expectations of a master's level placement is much different than a BSW level placement. We have students in different settings, from hospitals, clinics, to community settings. We have students who have more of an interest in therapeutic settings, so settings where they'll be doing like counseling, one-on-one interventions, things like that. So it varies. For some placements, it is a requirement that you already have a BSW degree and are part of the order. For others, you don't. So yeah. What else did you ask?
I was asking, I think you answered my questions in terms of, as an MSW student, you'll be trying to specialize. I wanted to touch on that a little bit. I know there are streams in the MSW program. Would you say, if I am doing the international development or social justice or community development stream, to look for a placement that is in that area, or am I facilitated to do that? Is it possible, or you could end up anywhere and then combine the skills you're gaining?
So naturally, students are going to want a placement that interests them, whether it be related to their ISP or not related to their ISP, but an area of interest. So we have planning meetings that we do. So for the incoming MSW students, I would meet with them in like April and May. We would discuss their interests, what they're looking for, because for a lot of students, you know, this might be the end of their program. They really want to make the most, you know, of their field placement. So we have a discussion around that. We talk about what's available, and if by chance the placement itself is not available or the area of interest is not available, I try to help students to really look at the skills that they want to gain. Like what do you have, or what don't you have that you feel like you need for, you know, you go out onto the workforce. So we try our best, but especially in, you know, the last year or so, it's been, you know, difficult with field placements, especially with COVID, and field instructors not just having the bandwidth to be able to take on their own work and accommodate a student. So there, you know, we definitely do our best. We definitely do what we can to help match students in the area of interest or something that is close. So yeah.
Great. Now I do know that in the BSW we have a course on anti-oppressive practice, and we have some practice with critical social work, but not so much. Is this something that we'll be expecting to see a little bit more in the MSW? To what level? If you can speak to that, either Nicole M or Nicole I, that would be nice.
Nicole, I might want to speak about the new course.
So yeah, I'm very happy about the new course, Anti-Racist Social Work Practice, that I co-teach with Professor Wanda Gabriel. This is the first time that we're teaching it, and it's an excellent, we think, we're biased, a new course in our curriculum, in the master's curriculum, one that was sorely needed. So it's a required course, and we seem to be getting good reviews so far.
I'm already excited for it. I was going to ask as a follow-up question if that's required. So it's very important to incorporate that in our education.
Yes.
And I was going to ask as well, French, Nicole M, if you can comment on the level of French that is required. I know there is some, even in the ABSW, some placements that require you to have it. But is this something that for someone who doesn't speak French should be worried about to continue at McGill? Or
I would say that it's similar to the BSW in that most of our placements are in the Montreal area, bilingual placements. You know, there's a certain level of French required, like on each of our field, not field reports, but the, I'm trying to think of the word right now, but it's basically the forms that each agency fills out to say what they expect or what they need from a student. So they always have percentage levels of French that's required for the placement. So most of our placements are bilingual. For students who are unilingual, sometimes we have a few, sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's an ask, would you be willing to accommodate? And a lot of the times, actually, students choose to go outside of the province. So if they're from Ontario, if they're from BC, things like that, they'll choose to go back to their hometown to do their placement, since French is not going to be a problem there. And of course, those placements have to be vetted. We have to have a conversation and, you know, make sure that it meets, you know, our expectations in terms of a field placement. But I don't want to say that it's impossible. It's just harder, and you're already kind of, you might be even more limited in terms of like your area of interest if you don't have the French. I think of many of like the, you know, we have a lot of students who sometimes are really interested in working with immigrant populations, refugee populations, and a lot of those agencies do in Montreal do require you to have some level of French. And if it's not with the clients, it's going to be with the external resources that you're going to be working with, who you're going to be consulting with, things like that. So the French is definitely important to have.
Nice. Okay, so you've convinced me to apply to McGill and stay at McGill in the MSW. But why should I stay at McGill? Like if I am thinking about different schools of social work that are around the country, why would McGill stand out to me? If I already know that I can get in and I know I can commit to the 3 semesters and I have good field placement waiting for me, why McGill? Why should I continue at McGill? Anyone can answer this.
I can go. I can go first. I think it's a very exciting time to be in Montreal, and I think that with the way that things are changing in the university, it's an exciting time. The new course that I'm co-teaching with Professor Gabriel, it's incredible the support that we have gotten for the creation of this course in a short time. And that speaks to the commitment of our faculty to anti-racist practice. We have the resources of Montreal. You know, and I'm a city person. I grew up in New York City, and I find Montreal to be a very livable city, and it has the background, you know, people from all different parts of the world. And I love to see that. I can't speak for other Canadian cities, but of course I'm partial to this one. It's also the opportunity to engage with our faculty in a deeper way in their research areas. And we have faculty who are doing projects all over the world in all different areas of social work. That's why I love this degree, because it's so versatile. I came from a very different background. I didn't have a BSW. And so I did a 2-year MSW. I had an undergraduate degree in foreign area studies, which is a bit like international relation studies. It's not the development piece. It was more a culture and language piece. But there are a lot of exciting things going on. We are going to be starting the delivery of a BSW in Nunavik. There are possibilities of field placements opening up in Nunavik with the health board for master's level. And so this is exciting. It's an exciting time.
Mm-hmm. They would rather stick around and see it happen and be part of the congratulations team or the class that is going to participate in that. So yes, great. But now,
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
well, I was going to say, I just so happened to know that you were also an MSW grad. So I just wanted to ask you how your experience was as an alumni and
So yeah, so when Nicole was speaking, you know, things started to run through my mind, and I am an alumni. And when I think about my experience in the MSW program, I think that the professors really were excellent. I feel like I learned a lot during those years. I was one of those students who was working and doing my MSW part-time. And I just felt like it was really an enriching experience for me, because everything that I was learning, I was able to apply right away. I was able to take my time with my courses. It didn't feel like this rush, hustle and bustle. It was really an enriching experience for me. And also the fact that you get to do all those hours of stage, you know, it's about 450 hours, and you also get the opportunity to write an ISP. So for my stage, like I was in a very clinical setting, adult psychiatry, and I feel like I learned so much in that experience. And at the same time, I got to write an ISP about something that I was passionate about. And my advisor was amazing. And I remember when I first met with her to discuss the ISP, and it was just kind of like a dream. And then by the end of the program, like it was something tangible and real. And I had the opportunity to thank her actually this week, which, you know, she's not from here, but just for the inspiring words and the encouragement and helping me to make a dream real and visible on paper, something that I could pick up and actually use and you know, run a program or pitch a proposal for. So that it was really a passion project. And I would encourage anybody who's doing their master's in social work to really make it your own. You have a real opportunity to do that in McGill's School of Social Work. So yeah, I would say that that's really special. And I feel like the faculty, the instructors are invested, you know, they're invested. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because I feel like that's what would motivate us to continue to pursue this education in social work, is to find, most people say finding a niche, but I know in social work you can end up really anywhere. But I believe that narrows our interest or where to look at, and working closely with the supervisor in MSW will be rich and different from what we see in the BSW, and also to find a personalized project that you can work on, because I believe in the BSW it's one course a term and it's done, but to know that I would work from September to the end of August with this person, work on something that I'm passionate about, really inspires me to apply. So thank you so much for the knowledge, for the so many lights going on in our heads. I'm pretty sure anyone who's listening and they're interested, go check out the website and get the details on the dates. And but I had a quick follow-up question for Carmela. If we were not successful in getting in for the 2023 2022, do we get an opportunity to have feedback to improve our application? Is it a done deal? Should we apply again? What would you say?
That is up to the applicant. They could always email to have feedback, and I would go back to the committee and if they want to divulge anything, but it is really up to the applicant if they do want to reapply. And I'm not sure, Dr. Ives, if you want to, I think.
All right. Okay. Great. So they can reach out and get some feedback and see if they can improve their application then, which is great to hear. All right. Thank you, guys. But before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask a little bit of a personal question. I think we've lost Dr. Ives, but she'll probably rejoin us. If you were to tell me a little bit about, maybe under 30 seconds, what would you wish for a good social worker to be? Or what would you like to see in social workers? I believe all of us have interacted with them for a while. Or as yourself, what is it that stands out to you as a social worker quality?
Okay, I'll go first, and I'll be very brief. But I think social work comes with a lot of power, control. To some degree, there's a lot of responsibility. So I think being humble is important, and still kind of tapping into the initial reasons why you wanted to be in this field, which hopefully is to serve and to help others, that you keep that, or whatever it is for you. Your what do they call it in those like DC animated movies, like it's the backstory, whatever. I can't remember the word I'm looking for right now, but anyway, you kind of keep at the forefront whatever backstory you have. What were those initial reasons why you came into the field? To stay humble and yeah, to acknowledge the power you have and use it for good.
Oh, great. Thank you. Carmela?
I'm not a social worker, but I see the faculty who are very compassionate towards what they do. So maybe, have a lot of compassion. And like Nicole said, be humble in everything you do, and be committed.
Great.
Mhm.
And I think we're getting Nicole Ives back right in time to tell us her closing remarks. The world of technology. It's not like she left the room. She just left the Zoom room. Now she's back. Welcome back. Welcome back, Dr. Ives.
Perfect timing.
Oh, yes. We were just talking about, if you can tell us in just a few seconds, what do you think the qualities of a good social worker are, what you've observed, or what you live by as one, or what do you want us to have as the future social workers?
I think when I was in my doctoral program and we were in a group and we were asked to kind of shout out the one word that, that means social work to us. And the first thing I shouted out was relationships. And I think for me, it's empathy grounded relationships, because there's no type of, advocacy, a clinical relationship, everything starts with a relationship. And so I guess it's positive, someone who has empathy grounded relationships and, can connect with peers and with clients.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. On that note, thank you guys for sitting down with me and chatting about the MSW You will see a lot of applications coming in, I hope. And thank you. And have a good night.
You too. Thank you.